Don't be fooled by the name. Neutron's exciter is not just a traditional exciter that adds a little high-frequency edge to signals. It's really a very flexible, general-purpose distortion saturation effect with no less than 4 different modes for generating harmonics to subtly enhance the audio. As you can see, the floating panel has 3 controls: a drive control to set the strength of the effect, a per-band mix control, which mixes the dry signal and the exciter signal, and a small XY grid. The grid is the heart of the action. The exciter offers 4 different saturation types. Tube mode, as you'd expect, emulates analog tube drive. As I initially demo these modes, I'll set the blend to 100% effect and crank up the drive at first for each mode so you can clearly hear the effect, and then I'll dial it down to more appropriate levels. Tape, naturally, models the softer compression and saturation characteristics of analog tape, which emphasizes odd harmonics. With tape mode, if you really wanted the sound of audio recorded onto analog tape, you might want to try the mix all the way up at 100% effect. Retro mimics the sound of transistor saturation, bringing its own distinctive quality. Finally, warm is said to be similar to tube, but designed to generate only even harmonics. This usually provides a softer, warmer, more subtle saturation quality. But besides simply providing 4 saturation options, Neutron's exciter goes you one better. Via the XY grid, you can combine the saturation modes. This would be typical of what you'd get if you were working in the analog domain and signals were passing through multiple processors, each adding its own distinctive flavor of saturation or excitement. There are a couple more controls. A low-pass filter is provided via a node in the display. This acts only on the processed, saturated signal, not on the dry signal. So if you're blending dry and processed signals via the mix slider, you can reduce the brightness and grittiness of the saturation effect without dulling down the original audio. This will let you dial up a stronger saturation effect for much more desirable warmth without the excessive edginess of the higher saturation harmonics. Now you could, say, dial up a thicker sound on the drums in a full kit without adding too much graininess to the cymbals. You can also operate the exciter in multiband mode. Once again, you can switch each band on or off, bypass and solo each band, and drag the crossover frequencies in the display to fine-tune the saturation being applied to each band. Now you can selectively add different types of saturation to different frequency ranges. Once again, a full drum kit is a good way to demo this. I could dial up a stronger level of tube saturation in the low frequency range, adding a little bite to the kick. That much effect might trash up the cymbals excessively if applied full range, but on just the lows it works well. A more subtle tape saturation effect could be applied to the highs, giving the cymbals a nice presence without too much extra dirt. Finally, up top, there are 3 modes labeled full, defined, and clear, which subtly affect the overall character of the saturation effect as per their descriptions. Next up, the transient shaper.